So does it make sense buying an aerobatic aircraft? No.
Depends, yeah.
No. And I couldn't sit there and say it makes sense buying an aerobatic aircraft. But what do we do the things for? We do the things for thrill, for the smile, for the excitement, that's why we live and work hard to achieve this and get these moments. Actually, the best way is you have a hot button at home, and then we immediately contact you.
Probably a lot of people think, oh, an aerobatic aircraft is so hard to fly, but it's actually the opposite. Who needs to have an extra?
This question is sometimes hijacked by the question of money. We have 5 models that we're currently selling. It's hard for me to say that, but we say this with our eyes. It's gentleman's aerobatic. And there are guys that go just for this, say, I don't need all the toys. The SC or the single seaters are here, and the NG is placed somewhere here. 3 days, 3 years. Most happens in that time.
It can be so easy. Hi guys, today we are here in Dienstlaken again for another episode of our extra aircraft talk. Today we are going to talk about extra purchasing overall. How do you get into an extra? How is the sales process going on? And of course, it's something very special and unique to buy an aircraft for most of the people. And we want to help to make this moment to be as special as it can be. So today, Christian is joining me again. He is, of course, our expert here at Extra Aircraft. He's going to do the sales here in-house, and he's going to talk us through how the sales going on and what you need to think about. So Christian, maybe first of all, why do you actually need to have an extra aircraft?
Yeah, let me say hello as well. And of course, export only for sales. So not all, there are other guys that have expertise in other fields. Of course, sales, that's what we talk about, I understand. I understand you're prepared, I'm not, so...
I'm always well prepared.
We'll see how that goes, but it should be straightforward. Your question was...
Yeah, so who's our typical customer? So what do you think? Who is going to ask or come indoor, and who needs to have an extra?
It is difficult to pinpoint and just say this guy. It's a vast variety of people and individuals that have put themselves in a position to buy an aircraft. However that went, and of course that is one of the main issues about it. But when they have come in age and they have proceeded some flying and got further in their flight career basically, and got attached to the aircraft as far as wanting to do more sporty stuff and want to get a more crisp feeling on airplanes as well. I mean, the normal pilot, by all respect saying that, of course, flies from A to B. He starts and he can do a certain turn, and he knows that, and he will stay within that range that he is allowed and should stay in, of course, for safety. And then there is something about breaking out of that range and doing something else with the aircraft that you cannot do with other aircrafts. You have a great respect when you start doing that, and before you've done it, basically knowing that you shouldn't go any further than a certain envelope of flight turns, etc. But once you get the taste of it through some friends or whoever else, then the question comes quickly also what aircraft. And we're in the lucky situation that if I say red car, you probably know which one I'm talking about. And that is a little bit the same with the extra. As we are world leader of aerobatic aircrafts, all pilots basically kind of know what an extra is, and of course, and then when it comes to it, you also know where to find us. That's a next aspect. But when you start aerobatics or get into it through friends, through interest, and you start researching on it, and then take your aerobatic license, then you're hooked. Because you start doing things with an aircraft on a precise level that you have not done before, and you overcome that respect that you have doing only certain maneuvers you can all of a sudden do things that
And
are
also inverted, of course.
you
Yeah.
know. And one of the greatest time on aerobatics I found was when you start doing aerobatics, because that's the time when you first do a loop, you first do a roll, you first do this, first do that. The second time, you try to do it better than you did before. And everything after that is kind of a follow-up on that.
Yeah. So for me, it's aviation overall is like a great feeling of freedom. But I think if you sit like an extra, this exceeds it even more. So it doesn't matter which dimension, which direction you want to go. The extra makes it possible, and you can also do it inverted, of course, and however you want. The extra is so responsive, and maneuverability is so nice. I mean, this is like the total freedom feeling for me.
Yeah, and we're in the luxury situation today as pilots that are flying these aircrafts that we do not have to do or worry about power management as they did in the old days. I mean, if we turn back in times, what is aerobatic? How did it come about? It was, to my knowledge, it was military trainers that were sold to private individuals. They started playing around with these aircrafts. I call it kind of the Evel Knievel time back then. Yeah. When people then went barnstopper flying, they went into villages and performed the flying, and people watched it and so on. And then there was another, and they started competing, and that's when. But these aircrafts that were used for this initially were made for something else, for maybe training people or this or that. So it was a little bit unfair using these aircraft in such a harsh environment because they were initially not made for that. I couldn't use a freighter aircraft for a different mission. It wouldn't turn out or, do that very well. But of course, if I use it for the mission that it was made for, then it's a different thing. But there was no aircraft at the time that was specifically only made for competition flying aerobatics. There was none. So they used others, and they were good or not so good. And, it was difficult. Plus, you had to do real power management in order to fly these aircrafts and get these performance done. Then, of course, Walter, your father, got into the sport of it, and he was flying a pitch special, as I know. And then he started changing things on the aircraft that he thought should be a little different, but that you can only do to a certain extent. And after that, then he thought, okay, I need to build my own aircraft because I wanted to. And he liked the laser, and he started looking more and more and more. And then on the end of the day, there was an extra 230 that he has built, home built, if you so want. And he built a few of those. And then the 260 came and built a few of those. And then of course, he went to competition with these aircrafts, and he was performing quite well. And people asked him, "Can you build me one too?" And we've been doing the favor since. Then, of course, he said, "Okay, this is getting more serious," and he wanted to found a company, which was then the Extra Flugzeugbau, where he initially built and certified the Extra 300.
Yeah.
And meaning certification, you can fly an aircraft experimental, of course, but that is rather difficult, especially in Europe, because you have to have an entry permit to every other country. And when you do this, then you're more occupied with paperwork than flying, kind of. So that is an example, also for insurance reasons. So he wanted to have a certified aircraft, and he talked to the LBA, the Luftfahrtbundesamt at the time, and there was no certified aerobatic aircraft. And so they sat down on a table and laid down certain criteria. And these criteria are still boundaries in aviation, in aerobatic aviation today.
Yeah.
Safety of 1.5, so all our, on metal parts, all our aircrafts are certified for that, 10G plus minus, but there is a safety to that. And so by calculations, it is 15 Gs that before you have a potential failure in any point of the aircraft, and that gives, of course, the safety to the pilot to stay good, stay alive.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, so as you said, so of course, safety-wise, the aircraft improved a lot during the time, but you also mentioned energy management. So if you compare like sequences that the guys flew like in the 80s to today's sequences, it's much more complex. So yeah, the figures itself got so much more complex, and you still can do them. Even with the two-seaters, it's quite impressive.
It got easier in a way, but because easy, I mean as far as power management. But it got more complex on the other end, because more was possible and more needs to be done.
Yeah. So now you have more complex figures, so you still need the energy, and especially with the NG, because it picks up speed so nice, you have a lot of energy with the aircraft. But this is a different topic. Maybe let's come back to the sales point. So I know we have a lot of customers who already bought like several extras, so they really trust the brand and they come back and get the latest greatest product. But we also have customers who are like brand new, so who maybe just buy one aircraft in their whole life. And so how do you approach these guys? What do they need to know?
We get along with everybody.
Sure.
And that is from the professional pilot that wants to get the next level aircraft for himself or etc. For the flight school that wants to use such an aircraft for upset recovery training, as well as other training, tail wheel endorsement, etc. and so on. And also the individual pilot that got hooked on aerobatics or wants to get into aerobatics and pursue the career, the broad range. I mean, I have a guy that finished his pilot license in 2024, and he got an aircraft at the beginning or the end of that year, and he already in 2025 started competing.
Yeah.
So the question is that possible? Yeah. And he's somebody that just took his license, and that you don't need to fly for years and years in other aircrafts, which is often told out there. You need to get experience elsewhere, and then you can get into an extra. No, we make these, Walter and the team, of course, we make these aircrafts where it is easy to fly in a certain extent for a beginner. He needs to know certain things, of course, that needs to be taught to him and so on. But then this is good for him because the aircraft does what he wants it to do.
And that's exactly what I think a lot of people think. Probably a lot of people think, oh, an aerobatic aircraft is so hard to fly, but it's actually the opposite. So it's very easy to fly and actually also very easy to land because the maneuverability and the controllability is so good. So the aircraft is just following your inputs.
Yes, and out there is also the thinking of some people that they say they need to fly earlier models of an extra before they can get in today's models. No, it's the other way around, because every aircraft that we build or design is easier to fly than the model before. I mean, nobody would buy an aircraft from me that is more difficult to fly than the previous version. So that is the other way around. So people.
So for example, with the NG, if you go for landing and you touch the ground, it's like really like it's a train. It's like on rails. It's so easy to land. It's
every aircraft that we design and put out on the world is easier to fly than previous models, because that again comes to the occupation of the pilot in what he needs to do, his workload in the aircraft. We try to minimize that. And he give him more time for his, I think we talked about that last time too, give him more time in the cockpit for his stuff that he needs to do and so on. So make the aircraft easy to fly, easy to control. That is one of the greatest aims basically that we're going for. And we have achieved this, and especially in the NG2. It's a phenomenal aircraft. And it's just with Army Knife, as I said before, it is for many pilots. For the pilot that wants to just fly from A to B, for the pilot that wants to also
turn the autopilot, lean back and fly.
But also for the guy that wants to take or participate in competition tomorrow and start training with it, and so by far. later, when he gets into the upper levels, then it requires maybe, or he wishes to be in a single seater or so.
Yeah, that's maybe a quite good follow-up question for me. So let's maybe compare a little bit our current products. Maybe let's focus on the NG, the SX, and the LX. So who's like the typical guy for each product? So of course, if you are like totally onto competition flying, or you're an aerobatic pilot for air shows, of course you go more into the SX area than into the two-seat aircrafts area. But what do you think?
This question is sometimes hijacked by the question of money. Money is, of course, an important factor. But if we leave this out at the moment and don't go and decide by what's better for the money and cost and so on, and leave that out, then I would definitely say, or starting off, we have 5 models that we're currently selling. Starting off with the base of a 2-seater, which is our 330LX. That is the core 2-seat models. And it is somewhat core, even so it has nice avionics today with the G3X inside and so on. But this is, of course, the threshold fuselage as we've had it on original models, as we always had it and so on. That is a core. And there are guys that go just for this, say, I don't need all the toys. I don't need an autopilot. I don't need a leather seat. I want
to have it like purely
aerobatics. I want to get in, do my aerobatics, and go home. Okay, then he feels good in that LX. It has great performance, definitely.
Absolutely.
I mean, by saying that it is a lower end, that is not a low end. It's just in our range of aircrafts. Then is the 330LT. T we have for touring. And this aircraft was initially made kind of for the U.S. customer base, and for upset recovery training. This aircraft is the only aerobatic aircraft that we have that has an asymmetrical wing. And by having that asymmetrical wing, the aerobatic profile of this aircraft is, it's hard for me to say that, but we say this with our eyes, it's gentleman's aerobatic compared to the others. I mean, you can still fly this 10G plus minus, etc., and so on. And it was initially thought of an aircraft fly A to B and do all the things and so on when we didn't have the NG at the time. Today, this aircraft is a little bit obsolete by the other models, and it's not sold as many anymore. As soon as the NG came in, the LT came
since the NG took over.
Even so, it has an asymmetrical wing, the LT, and we used this actually also back then for a Red Bull Air Race plane. Because of the more lift, it was doing tighter turns. But then
actually stalls also quite nice.
And then the turns were cancelled in the race. So they have different topic. Okay, LT out. So LX we have as a 2-seater, and the next one up basically is the NG. And the NG is made out of full carbon fiber aircraft, and therefore it's a different animal. You are touching more of a range with that aircraft as far as autopilot comfort. But also on the
ergonomics, that's unbeaten of the NG.
And if I say the easy explain, I do often is where I say the LX is here, the SC or the single seaters are here, and the NG is placed somewhere here. You can also get the NG with high performance ailerons as an option, and then it's almost as good as a single seater. So that you see
the high performance ailerons, they work very well
where that is positioned. And if somebody can reach for the NG, or then he should get the NG. He gets more for his money.
Of course, it's also very nice and elegant looking. It's very comfortable. That's in comparison to the LX, much nicer.
It's a new model. It has new features, of course. Starting off with Behringer brakes and other things and so on. And we didn't just make it more expensive. No, we made a different aircraft. It is a different animal, and it does have different options.
And as you mentioned, full carbon fiber, of course, in comparison to the steel tubes.
and maybe we can do a video about this some other time and so on, where we get further into the differences between a treasure hull fuselage and a carbon fiber. Mm-hmm. What advantages are there, why we did this and how we did this, because we didn't do it like others did, just make a frame or make a fuselage hull like a plastic bottle kind of. No, there's the fuselage of the NG is made out of several sections that form together a fuselage. So you kind of have somewhat of a resilient strength, and carefully saying that basically. But if you have a failure point at one area, you don't have a complete failure of the fuselage.
Yeah, it has a lot of safety margin.
There's certification issues, etc. But that's a complete different topic there. The NG is the latest, greatest, and it is so because not just of time it's the latest, greatest, it is the better aircraft. By all means, with all the installations and so on. And all of our aircrafts are sold when you get a price list. These are flying aircrafts. You don't, it's not like you get an aircraft, but you need to get the tires as an option. No, this is
ready to turn the key aircraft, and you go.
The only thing you might have to choose is a ELT, which in some countries it's mandatory and some not. So that's an option that you might have to choose. But other than that, you have a flying aircraft. But of course, we do have some options. And then for the guy that is deciding, he's deciding weight. Weight was a killer back then in aerobatics. You would want anything with weight because you have less performance. But these days, it's not as big of a subject as it was in the past. On all of these aircrafts, we have the Lycoming engine, 580 installed. And the match of around 600 plus minus kilograms with 300, nobody knows really, but 15 officially, but 30 horsepower. That's a good match in general. You wouldn't want to have much more. I mean, we're not building helicopters, we're building aerobatic aircraft. Yeah. And now saying what kind of pilot or what customer is coming back to that question is specifically for it varies. It varies. The flight school I have out there that have 1, 2, 3, 4 aircrafts or more are buying NGs and doing it with an NG. I have successful outfits, definitely also in the UK, where they do training and do all kinds of training for pilots. They love the NG and they do it all with the NG. And I have flight schools that do it all with the LX. Yeah. And there are a few out there that do it with an LT and especially do upset recovery training. Training in a single-seater is of course not possible because the trainer is not on board.
So then, one seat is missing,
And it's a training that is for experts basically to be on the ground and teach them. They're not teaching them how to fly. They teach them how to perform better in competition maneuvers, etc.
Yeah, but I think overall you can say a little bit, if you're like pure into competition, it's more that you go into the single-seater version. If it's not just competition, that you also want to do, of course, fly with friends or with family or also do training, then it's more that you go in the two-seater version.
Yes, and let me maybe also say in the 10 years back, people bought the L, whatever version we had at the time, LC, LP, etc., and so on. And then after 2 or 3 years, they started looking for a single-seater because the L didn't give them the performance they wanted. Yeah. Today, we have customers that buy the NG and keep it much longer than they've kept two-seat aircraft before because they can do much more with it and also reach much further into the area where that was only possible with the single-seat aircraft before. That's another indication for that.
Okay. So maybe now if you have decided to get into aerobatics, what's the best way to contact us? So it depends. If you are in America, you can contact our guys in the US, of course. Or, of course, you can contact us here. What's the best way? Just give us a call, write us an email.
Actually, the best way is you have a hot button at home. And then we immediately contact you. If you don't have that button, then of course you contact us by sales@extraaircraft.com, our main sales email address, and then we divert even so. If you're US or so, we do, point your aircraft where email where it needs to go and so on, and contact the guys. But generally, out there needs to be known sales@extraaircraft.com. That will definitely get you an answer.
Yeah. And now let's imagine I want to buy an NG. So I contact you. How's like the normal sales process going now? So I just decided, okay, I want to have an NG. What's next?
You push the button. Okay. When contacting us by either email that I'm named or by telephone, you start talking to me basically on an aircraft. It's different. I mean, people have certain questions that we of course answer in terms of that, and they need more knowledge, and then I give them the information at hand that they need in order to take a decision.
Yeah, like what equipment is available.
I at that point start to already filter and try to find out what is the best aircraft for you. What have you done on flying? Where are you going? Where have you been? What's your aim?
What's your mission?
Your focus? What's your mission? That is what I'm trying to immediately filter out and see how to best help you with what aircraft to best help you. Because to me, it doesn't matter if you take a single-seater, two-seater, this or that, or what color, that all doesn't matter to me. So then, of course, I'll give you all the information at hand that you need to take a well-based decision. And that depends, of where in the world you are and so on, that you either do it on the phone with me, you do it on an online meeting with me, or you are able to come by the factory. That is the best, basically.
Sure, make a factory tour.
I'll take you on a tour. We'll talk about aerobatics, and I'll give you all the information that you need to have to take a well-based decision for yourself.
And of course, here we can always show, okay, this is how an NG looks, this is how an SX looks, these are the different options. That's of course the easiest.
And we go through the whole process and so on. I usually say from prospects that are contacting us and think about an aircraft, and so 3 days, 3 years. Most happens in that time. So, of course, it also depends on where our order book is. Presently, we're in the end of 2026. So if you wanted an aircraft...
So it's all, delivery time is like a little bit above a year always.
Always, over the years, it always has been at least half a year. But in average 1 year, and at the most I've already had 2 years. And so somewhere in there, we'll let you know. And in order to take such a delivery slot, we ask you for some money as a down payment. And that additional money for...
It's actually so that we purchase stuff from single source suppliers. So that we are safe, that the production can go on.
Where we then reserve stuff for you or buy already for you and so on. So that's why the down payment, and to have a substantial commitment from the customer that he's serious, we are serious, and we start buying parts for you and so on. So then your aircraft has a name and a number, and then we start the process with whatever else you want and so on. Of course, there's a contract and all of that, but we'll prepare this, and then you have your slot. Then the difficult time starts because you need to wait for your aircraft to be built. And time goes by and months go by, and that's hard. That's hard. And once you've taken that initial decision to do it, that is one time hard, and then it's done and you're happy about it. But then the more, then you need to wait.
I know one big decision is always paint. So we have a color configurator where we can go through our standard paint schemes, but also a lot of people want to do custom designs, what makes the decision even harder.
There are 3 possibilities, I always say. You take the aircraft with the standard design that we have for each model and so on. We have a standard design that we offer. You may choose on a different color and so on. We'll talk about it, but basically there is a standard two-color design.
Yeah.
that
We
you can
also
get to.
suggest colors then already. So if you want to have like, for example, light blue, then we recommend, okay, we know this light blue looks very nice also in the air. So, but you can come up with every light blue, whatever you want.
The second option is that you do your drawings for your aircraft, but aerobatic aircraft drawings and design is very tricky because you want the judges to do a correct visual judgment of your flying procedure.
Yeah.
And therefore lines are important and where they are at and upside down and etc. and so on. That can be done if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, I always say don't touch it.
You want that the aircraft looks nice on the ground, but it should also look nice while flying in the air, and you have a different perspective there. So that makes it tricky.
Nice on the ground, and you have to identify the position of the aircraft in the sky. That is and pretty is another aspect and so on. So leaving out number two, that you draw your own thing, I have seen things that you don't want to do. But hey, okay. And then, of course, there's a third option. We're working together with design studios. One of them, of course, is aircraft studio design in Italy, Mirko Beccarari with his team. When you go there, he will then do a complete mission with you with designing your aircraft. On the end of the day, you do it all with him, you achieve it all with him, and then they present us with a paint scheme that is going to be for your aircraft. Then we will calculate what the cost of this design will be on your aircraft, present you with the price of it. If it all good and stays that way, then your aircraft is going to be exactly that way.
So overall saying, if we go through the whole process, you have a complete customized and personalized aircraft that's like suits perfectly for the mission that you're looking for.
When I sit down with a guy and we go through the options that are available and see what he wants, autopilot yes or no, smoke system yes or no, or other and so on, and what makes sense or not for him. And on the end, we have all the box ticked or not, and then we'll come to a final price. Then we see the design, and then we have a very individualized aircraft. I mean, all these aircrafts are somewhat custom.
Yeah.
As we are a series manufacturer, but no, we're manufacturing. We're building aircraft one-off, even so 2 per month. But every aircraft is individual. There's basically none like the other.
Yeah. And now it comes that a customer orders the aircraft and we start to produce the aircraft. So quite often I see you, and for me this is always a great moment, together with customers here in the company. So we started to build the fuselage, for example, and then the customer finally sees his own aircraft, like for the first time while you do the factory tour. So for me, this is always like a very special moment, and also to meet the people and to see how they.
When it materializes and when you know, I mean, we're people, we need to grab something, touch something. When you see it's coming alive, it's your thing that's being built. That is a very unique moment. I always try to, in the process, send some pictures to the customers of the building of it. At the beginning, of course, there's not that much because all the parts behind it are being built. That is not individual to aircraft yet. But when it comes more and becomes more and more an aircraft, and especially later in the paint shop, and that's your design coming alive, your aircraft coming alive, and then on the end, when the people come and see their aircraft that they have seen on paper, that they have built on paper in thoughts together with me before, and then it comes alive by the great team of ours building that aircraft is a signature every and each one of them.
Yeah. So after finishing the aircraft, we do the final test flight here, and everything is set, paperwork is set, everything is done. So do you remember what was like a very special delivery for you? So was there like some special custom design or like a fleet of group or anything what comes into your mind what was very special?
Many, because we're all individual people and every situation is unique in a way. Some is not such a special deal, it's just business. But some of them are very unique and so on. and see the eyes. And depending on if the customer on the end comes to pick up the aircraft by himself, able to fly it away from here, or he comes with his wife, or, I mean, these are individual situations and so on, making a weekend of it and making a bigger event of it, from getting to a hotel nearby that I know that is spectacular on the wellness site, and she stays there and he's getting the aircraft, and we're giving him all the information on it and so on, and then they both go home with it, or to the flight school that, and also these flight schools that pick up aircraft is still, when they pick up a new aircraft, it's bright. I mean, I would say, does it make sense buying an aerobatic aircraft? No.
Depends, yeah.
No. And I couldn't sit there and say it makes sense buying an aerobatic aircraft. But what do we do the things for? We do the things for thrill, for the smile, for the excitement, that's why we live and work hard to achieve this and get these moments. And Extra will definitely deliver you that moment.
Yeah.
And
when you get out of the aircraft, for sure you will have a big smile.
Not only that moment, but basically every time you step out of that aircraft, you will relive that special moment of your aircraft, of your Extra. And that is what we work for. And that is why we go through some of the stress that we need to go through to do things, etc. And that makes sense, because that is what life, in my opinion, is about. These moments, living through these moments, having these moments, despite all the other stuff that we need to do and need to go through. So then it makes sense again on that aspect.
Maybe one final thing. What about pilots who do not feel ready to fly the aircraft? Can you name like training options where we get like experienced pilots so they can show how to fly the aircraft, or how would you do this approach there?
First of all, it's safe to say that all the questions a guy that has an interest or so may have out there, it's not a question that we've not heard before. So this is our business, is our daily business. I do this for 28 years here in the company now, and sales for over 20 years. So yes,
you heard every question.
Yes to that, and we want, of course, and we honor your questions, and of course we respect your questions, and we have heard it before somewhere. And there are questions that are more common than others and so on, and there is an answer to every and each one of them, and a solution to each one of them, because we do it on a steady base. For 40 years, we're building aircraft and selling it to private individuals. So you'll be the first to have a question that we don't have an answer to in that context. Of course, these questions go from, where can I do my training? How can I be trained before? If I don't know about Extra, can I go to a flight school? How can I pick up my aircraft? I'm too far away from Extra. Will it be in a container? And 1,000 questions like that. But there is
all individual questions that can be answered.
Of course, within Europe, it's a little bit more easy. All we need to produce is an aircraft to specs, and of course, once we've done so, we sign a Form 52, which is a conformity document. Together with a non-registration, you can register this aircraft anywhere within Europe. If you're outside of Europe, then we need to acquire for a CFA for export at the German LBA. So the Form 52 will be submitted to our authority, and they issue a CFA for export. Then you present this to your authority, they know what to do with it. It's a straightforward process. It takes a little time. I mean, I've seen from countries doing it in a week to 5-6 weeks or so. That needs to be thought about, that is coming in addition. Then you can pick up your aircraft flying. If you, on your personal level of expertise, meaning you need some training for aircraft, or aerobatics, or tailwheel endorsement, or so on, we have contacts at our hand that will do it with you, with your aircraft, with a different aircraft before, on site, maybe on site with your aircraft, maybe they want to fly with somebody like that to their home destination and do some more training over there. All possible. All possible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, whatever scenario you feel at home with and so on. It takes the initial step. Come, contact us. We'll see what we can do for you. And where you are placed within the 3 days, 3 years, as I usually say, and so on, we'll give you some information. We'll give you information what such an aircraft costs and how to obtain one and what are the options, and walk you through the process. And then hopefully, if that is achievable for you, then it takes some time and you have your own extra.
No, it can be so easy.
It can be really easy.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, Christian, thank you very much. I think that's it for now. I think, guys, if you have any further questions, just visit our website, extraaircraft.com, or write an email to Christian or to our US team. They are happy to answer any of your questions. And yeah, we hope to see you soon.